The afternoon sun hung low over the abandoned stretch of old military road, casting long shadows through the overgrown brush that crowded both sides of the cracked asphalt. 8-year-old Emma Martinez clutched her backpack straps as she walked the shortcut home from school, her sneakers crunching on scattered gravel. The road had been forgotten decades ago, replaced by the new highway 3 miles east, leaving only rusted signs and weathered pavement behind. She hummed to herself, kicking a pebble ahead, when movement in the thick underbrush made her stop. A whimper. Soft and desperate. Emma froze, her heart thumping. The sound came again, weaker this time. She stepped toward the edge of the road, peering into the tangled mess of blackberry bushes and wild grass. There, huddled beneath a fallen branch, was something that looked like a small, trembling shadow, not a shadow. A dog. Emma dropped to her knees, pushing aside the branches carefully. The dog was unlike any she had ever seen. Its skin was smooth and dark gray, completely hairless except for a tuft of silky fur on its head and the tip of its tail. Large, bat-like ears stood upright, and dark eyes watched her with a mixture of fear and hope. The dog's ribs showed through its skin, and dirt caked its paws. Emma's breath caught. She had learned about hairless breeds in a school report last year. Chinese crested dogs. They were rare and expensive, nothing that would be wandering alone on an abandoned road. The dog whimpered again, trying to crawl backward, but too weak to move far. Emma pulled off her jacket and wrapped it gently around the shivering animal. The dog tensed at first, then relaxed into the warmth, its body going limp with exhaustion. Emma could feel its heart racing against her chest as she lifted it carefully. The dog was light, far too light. Its breathing came in shallow gasps. Emma looked both ways down the empty road. No cars, no people. Nothing but the endless stretch of forgotten pavement and the distant tree line where the old military fort used to stand, now just ruins buried in forest. She had passed this road 100 times and never seen anyone here except the occasional teenager looking for a place to spray paint graffiti. The dog pressed its face into her shoulder, and Emma made her decision. She ran. Her house was only half a mile away, but it felt like forever with the fragile weight in her arms. By the time she burst through the front door, she was gasping for breath. Her mother, Maria, looked up from the kitchen table where she was reviewing medical charts. As a nurse at Mercy General, she had seen plenty of emergencies, but the look on her daughter's face made her stand immediately. "Mama, please," Emma said, her voice breaking. "I found him. He needs help." Maria crossed the kitchen in 3 strides, her professional instincts taking over. She gently took the bundle from Emma's arms and unwrapped the jacket. Her expression shifted from concern to shock. The dog lay limp against the table, its eyes half closed. Maria ran her hands over its body, checking for injuries, dehydration, malnutrition, possible exposure, but no obvious wounds. "Where did you find him?" Maria asked, already filling a bowl with water. "Old Military Road, in the bushes. He was all alone, Mama. We can't leave him." Maria met her daughter's pleading eyes and sighed. She knew that look. It was the same determination she saw in the mirror every morning when she put on her scrubs. "Okay, but we take him to Dr. Patterson first thing tomorrow. If he's lost, someone might be looking for him." Emma nodded quickly, already preparing a soft bed of blankets on the floor. She sat beside the dog as it lapped weakly at the water, then curled into the warmth. Within minutes, the exhausted animal was asleep, its ribcage rising and falling, in a steady rhythm. That night, Emma slept on the floor beside the dog, one hand resting on its smooth skin. She woke every few hours to check its breathing, to offer more water, to whisper promises that everything would be okay. The dog's name, she decided, would be Ghost, because that's what he looked like when she found him, a ghost of something that used to be whole. The next morning, Maria called Dr. Patterson's clinic and explained the situation. The receptionist fit them in for an 11 o'clock appointment. Emma stayed home from school, refusing to leave Ghost's side. The dog had gained some strength overnight, managing to stand and walk a few steps, though it still trembled with exhaustion. They arrived at Riverside Veterinary Clinic 15 minutes early. Dr. Patterson, a broad-shouldered woman in her 50s with kind eyes and calloused hands, ushered them immediately into an exam room. "Let's see what we have here," she said, lifting Ghost onto the metal table. The dog stood still, too tired to protest, as Dr. Patterson examined him thoroughly. Temperature, heart rate, teeth, paws. She palpated his abdomen and listened to his breathing. "Hairless Chinese crested," Dr. Patterson murmured. "Male, probably around 3 years old. Severely malnourished, but no signs of abuse. Where did you say you found him?" "Old Military Road," Emma said, "by the bushes near the old fort ruins." Dr. Patterson's eyebrows rose. "That's an odd place for a purebred dog. These breeds are expensive. Someone's probably looking for him." She reached for her microchip scanner, a handheld device that looked like a thick wand. "Let's see if he's chipped." Emma held her breath as Dr. Patterson ran the scanner over Ghost's shoulders and neck. The device beeped once, twice. Then it started beeping rapidly, the screen flashing red. Dr. Patterson's expression changed. She scanned again, the same frantic beeping. "That's strange," she muttered, setting down the scanner and picking up her phone. "This chip is flagged in the system. Let me call this in." She stepped into the hallway, leaving Emma and Maria exchanging worried glances. 5 minutes later, Dr. Patterson returned, her face grim. 2 people followed her into the room, a police officer in uniform, badge gleaming, and a woman in a gray suit carrying a leather folder. Emma's stomach dropped. "Mrs. Martinez, Emma," the officer said, his voice calm but serious. "I'm Officer Blake Mitchell, and this is Detective Sarah Chen. We need to ask you some questions about where you found this dog." Emma looked at Ghost, who had curled up on the exam table, his eyes watching her with trust. She felt her mother's hand on her shoulder. "Is something wrong?" Maria asked. Detective Chen stepped forward, opening her folder to reveal a photo. It showed a Chinese crested dog identical to Ghost, standing alert beside a woman in her 30s with dark hair and a bright smile. "This dog was reported stolen 3 months ago," Detective Chen said. "His name is Phantom. He belonged to Dr. Rebecca Huang, a research scientist working at the Fort Reston Biological Research Facility." Emma's mind raced. Fort Reston, the old military base near where she found Ghost. It had been closed for years. "Dr. Huang disappeared the same night her dog was taken," Detective Chen continued. "We've been searching for both of them ever since. This is the first lead we've had." The room fell silent. "I just found him," Emma said quietly. "I was walking home from school. He was in the bushes. He was starving." Officer Mitchell crouched to Emma's level, his expression gentle. "You did the right thing bringing him here, Emma. Can you show us exactly where you found him?" 20 minutes later, Emma sat in the back of Officer Mitchell's patrol car, Ghost curled in her lap, wrapped in her jacket. Her mother sat beside her, one hand gripping the door handle. Detective Chen drove a separate vehicle behind them. They turned onto Old Military Road, the cruiser bumping over potholes. Emma pointed ahead. "There, by that fallen branch." Officer Mitchell pulled over, and they all climbed out. Detective Chen immediately started photographing the area, her eyes scanning the ground. Officer Mitchell walked the perimeter, pushing aside branches and examining the dirt. "There are tracks here," he called out. "Recent. Looks like someone was digging." Emma watched as Detective Chen knelt beside a disturbed patch of earth near where she had found Ghost. The detective pulled out a small tool and carefully scraped away dirt, revealing something white beneath the surface. Not bone. Plastic. Detective Chen lifted it carefully. A sealed evidence bag. Inside was a flash drive and what looked like a laminated badge. Dr. Rebecca Huang's badge. "Call it in," Detective Chen said to Officer Mitchell, her voice tight. "We need a full forensic team out here, now." Emma's heart pounded. She looked down at Ghost, who pressed against her leg, sensing her fear. Within an hour, Old Military Road was filled with vehicles. Crime scene investigators in white suits, more police cars, an unmarked van. Emma and her mother sat in Officer Mitchell's car, watching through the window as the team worked. Detective Chen returned, her face unreadable. She opened the door and knelt beside Emma. "Emma, I need you to think very carefully. When you found Phantom, was there anything else nearby? Any other sounds? Any cars?" Emma closed her eyes, remembering. The whimpering, the rustling of branches, and something else. Something she hadn't thought about until now. "There was a smell," she said slowly. "Like chemicals. And I heard a car engine. It was far away, but it started up right after I found him, like someone was watching." Detective Chen and Officer Mitchell exchanged glances. "Which direction?" Officer Mitchell asked. Emma pointed east toward the old fort ruins. "That way, into the forest." Detective Chen stood. "Stay here. Lock the doors." She and Officer Mitchell disappeared into the tree line with 3 other officers. Emma watched them go, her arms wrapped around Ghost. The dog's heart beat against her chest, fast and steady. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Then she heard it. Shouting. The crackle of police radios. More vehicles roaring down the road. Officer Mitchell emerged from the forest, his face flushed with adrenaline. He spoke rapidly into his radio, then jogged back to the car. "We found it," he said through the window. "There's a hidden lab in the old fort basement, equipment, documents, and someone was living there. They fled, but they left evidence behind." Emma's hands trembled. "Dr. Huang?" Officer Mitchell's expression softened. "We don't know yet, but we're going to find out." The next few hours blurred together. Emma and Maria were taken to the police station to give formal statements. Emma repeated her story 3 times, each detail carefully recorded. Ghost stayed with her the entire time, curled on her lap, his presence the only thing keeping her calm. Finally, as the afternoon light faded, Detective Chen returned to the waiting room where they sat. She looked exhausted but carried a small smile. "We found her," Detective Chen said. "Dr. Huang, she's alive." Emma gasped. "Where?" "About 20 miles north, locked in a storage facility. The people who took her were using her research to develop illegal pharmaceuticals. They needed her knowledge but didn't need her dog, so they abandoned Phantom near the old fort, thinking he wouldn't survive." Detective Chen sat down beside Emma. "But Phantom did survive. For 3 months he stayed near that spot, waiting. Dogs have incredible loyalty. He knew his owner was nearby and he refused to leave." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. She looked down at Ghost, at Phantom. He gazed back at her with those dark, intelligent eyes. "What happens now?" Maria asked. "Dr. Huang is at the hospital being evaluated. She's weak but stable, and she's been asking about her dog non-stop." Detective Chen smiled. "I think it's time for a reunion." They drove to Mercy General Hospital, the same hospital where Maria worked. The nurses at the front desk recognized Maria and waved them through. Detective Chen led them to a private room on the 4th floor. Through the small window in the door, Emma could see her. Dr. Rebecca Huang sat propped up in bed, her face pale and thin, dark circles under her eyes. An IV line ran into her arm. Her hands twisted the blanket nervously as she spoke with another detective. Detective Chen knocked gently and pushed open the door. Dr. Huang looked up. Her eyes moved past the detective, past Emma and Maria, and locked onto the small dog wrapped in the jacket. "Phantom," she whispered. The dog's ears shot up. His entire body went rigid. Then he started to whine, a high-pitched sound of recognition and joy. Emma set him down carefully. For a moment, Phantom stood frozen, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Then he bolted across the room, his paws scrabbling on the linoleum, and launched himself onto the bed. Dr. Huang caught him, pulling him close as tears streamed down her face. Phantom licked her cheeks, her neck, her hands, his whole body trembling with happiness. He made soft, crying sounds, pressing against her as if trying to merge into her skin. "I'm sorry," Dr. Huang sobbed into his fur. "I'm so sorry. I tried to protect you. I tried." Emma watched from the doorway, her own tears falling freely. Maria's arm wrapped around her shoulders. Detective Chen cleared her throat. "Dr. Huang, this is Emma Martinez. She's the one who found Phantom and brought him to safety." Dr. Huang looked up, her face streaked with tears. She held out one hand toward Emma. "Come here, please." Emma approached slowly. Dr. Huang took her hand and squeezed it gently. "Thank you," Dr. Huang said, her voice breaking. "Thank you for saving him, for not giving up. Most people would have walked past, but you didn't." Emma managed a small smile. "He needed help. I couldn't just leave him." Dr. Huang pulled Emma into a one-armed hug, Phantom sandwiched between them. The dog licked Emma's chin, making her laugh through her tears. "You have a brave daughter," Dr. Huang said to Maria. Maria nodded, pride shining in her eyes. "I know." Over the next hour, Detective Chen explained what they had uncovered. The illegal laboratory, the pharmaceutical theft ring that had kidnapped Dr. Huang for her expertise in biochemistry. How Phantom's microchip had been flagged the moment he was reported missing, programmed to alert authorities if ever scanned. How the thieves had tried to dispose of him in the wilderness, expecting he wouldn't survive without his owner. But Phantom had survived. Against all odds, with no food, no shelter, no protection from the elements. He had stayed near the spot where Emma found him, likely hoping his owner would return. "The evidence we found at the fort will shut down their entire operation," Detective Chen said. "We've already made 4 arrests and more are coming. None of this would have been possible without Emma finding Phantom." Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Detective Chen said firmly. "Most people wouldn't have stopped. Most people wouldn't have cared. You made the difference." As they prepared to leave, Dr. Huang called Emma back to the bedside. Phantom was curled against her side, finally at peace. "Emma, I'll be in the hospital for a few more days," Dr. Huang said. "Would you be willing to take care of Phantom until I'm released? I trust you with him. He trusts you." Emma's face lit up. She looked at her mother, who smiled and nodded. "Yes," Emma said. "I'll take good care of him. I promise." Dr. Huang smiled. "I know you will." 1 week later, Emma sat in Dr. Huang's living room, watching as Phantom explored his home for the first time in months. The dog moved from room to room, sniffing every corner, every piece of furniture, reclaiming his space. When he finished, he trotted back to Emma and jumped into her lap. Dr. Huang laughed from the kitchen, where she was making tea. She moved slowly, still recovering, but her smile was genuine. "He's split his loyalty now," Dr. Huang said, bringing 2 cups to the coffee table. "You saved his life, Emma. He won't forget that." Emma scratched behind Phantom's ears, the dog's eyes closing in contentment. "Will you be okay?" Emma asked. "After everything that happened?" Dr. Huang sat down carefully, her expression thoughtful. I will be. It'll take time, but I have Phantom back, and I have a reminder that there are still good people in the world. People like you. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver bracelet. This was mine when I was your age. My grandmother gave it to me. I want you to have it. Emma took the bracelet carefully. It was simple but beautiful, with a small charm in the shape of a dog. I can't, Emma started, but Dr. Huang shook her head. Please, you gave me back something irreplaceable. Let me give you something to remember that kindness matters, that stopping to help, even when it's hard, makes all the difference. Emma slipped the bracelet onto her wrist. It fit perfectly. They sat together for another hour, talking about everything and nothing. Phantom dozed between them, content in the presence of the two people who had saved his life, and the two people he had, in turn, saved by bringing them together. As the sun began to set, Emma said her goodbyes. Dr. Huang walked her to the door, Phantom trotting at her heels. You're welcome here any time, Dr. Huang said. I mean that. Phantom and I would love to see you. Emma hugged her, then bent down to scratch Phantom's head one last time. The dog licked her hand, his tail wagging. I'll visit, Emma promised. I want to make sure you both are okay. She walked down the driveway to where her mother waited in the car. Before getting in, Emma turned back to wave. Dr. Huang stood in the doorway, Phantom in her arms, both of them silhouetted against the warm light from inside. Emma climbed into the car, and Maria pulled away from the curb. You did something really special, Mija, Maria said softly. Something a lot of adults wouldn't have the courage to do. Emma touched the bracelet on her wrist, feeling the small dog charm. Phantom was the brave one. He survived for 3 months alone, waiting for her. I just found him. No, Maria said. You saw him when others would have walked past. You cared when others wouldn't have stopped. That's what makes the difference. That night, Emma lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She thought about Old Military Road, about the hidden laboratory in the forest, about the illegal ring that had been shut down because she stopped to help a shivering dog in the bushes. But mostly, she thought about Phantom's eyes when he saw Dr. Huang again. The pure joy, the unbreakable bond between them, the way love could survive even the darkest circumstances. She thought about the bracelet on her wrist and Dr. Huang's words. Kindness matters. Stopping to help makes all the difference. Emma smiled in the darkness and closed her eyes. 2 months later, Emma walked down Old Military Road again on her way home from school. The police tape was gone. The road looked the same as always, abandoned and forgotten by most. But Emma remembered. She would always remember. As she passed the spot where she had found Phantom, she noticed something. Someone had placed a small wooden sign at the edge of the road, half hidden in the grass. Emma knelt to read it. The sign was simple, carved by hand. It read, "Here a small act of kindness changed everything. Thank you, Emma." Below the words was a carving of a dog with bat-like ears and a tuft of hair on its head. Emma touched the sign gently, tears pricking her eyes. She didn't know who had made it. Maybe Dr. Huang. Maybe Detective Chen. Maybe someone from the neighborhood who had heard the story. It didn't matter. What mattered was that Phantom was home, Dr. Huang was safe, and Emma had learned something that would stay with her forever. Heroes don't always wear capes or badges. Sometimes they're just 8-year-old girls walking home from school who take the time to look into the bushes when they hear a whimper. Sometimes they're dogs who refuse to give up, who survive impossible odds because love and loyalty run deeper than instinct. And sometimes they're the people who support those small acts of courage, who recognize them, who make sure they're not forgotten. Emma stood, brushing off her knees. She touched the bracelet on her wrist, then continued down the road toward home. The sun was warm on her face, and somewhere in the distance, she could hear the happy barking of dogs playing in a yard. She smiled. The world needed more kindness, more people willing to stop and help, more small acts that changed everything. Emma decided right then that she would be one of those people. And she was. For the rest of her life, whenever Emma passed someone in need, whenever she saw an animal in distress, whenever she had the choice to walk past or to stop and help, she thought of Phantom. She thought of that day on Old Military Road. She thought of the bracelet on her wrist and the promise it represented. And every single time, she stopped. Because that's what heroes do. They stop, they care, they help, and they change the world one small act at a time.